This conference will now
All
be
good.
recorded.
All right, it is 7 o'clock on June 25th. We're going to call our committee meeting to order. Start with our flag salute and then
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
all right, Karen, can we have the sentence and roll call, please?
Sure. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been given by filing written notice with the township governing body at the township clerk, mailing written notice to the township's official newspapers and the township website, posting written notice on the official bulletin board in the Chesterfield Township Municipal Building, and providing notice to all requested same. Ms. Botcher?
Here.
Ms. Godesdale?
Yes.
Mr. Lika?
Here.
Mr. Pamphili?
Yes.
And Mayor Hughes.
Here. Are there any agenda matters requiring approval?
Karen, is the ordinance you said might be on this, is that on this?
No,
No.
no, that's
Okay.
potentially, yeah.
Hearing none, moving on to the approval of minutes. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the May 28th regular and work sessions? Can I get a second? Second. All in favor?
Karen, I have to abstain, I wasn't at the meeting.
And can I get a motion and a second to approve the June 8th regular minutes? All in favor?
And that's the one I'm sure I have to abstain on as well. I missed
Just
the
the June 8th.
June 8th one, it's the only one I missed, so I
You're
did.
good for May 28th.
So you're good for May 28th.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, moving into public comment, part one. This is the first of two opportunities to come up and speak publicly at our meeting. Start with your name, you'll have 3 minutes, and start with your name and address. Can we get a motion in a second to open public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak? Is there anybody online who wishes to speak? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion in a second to close public comment, part one? Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have no ordinances for public hearing this evening. We have two ordinances for introduction. Ordinance 2026-13, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Chesterfield, County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 130, land development of the Township Code to add a definition of data center and to prohibit data centers in all zoning districts. The committee had a little bit of conversation about this at our last meeting, and seemed to be in agreement at that point that it was important for our town to take this proactive measure until there's more information on all the potential harmful impacts that a data center could potentially bring to our town. Any discussion, questions, comments?
Well summarized.
No.
Well summarized.
Okay, can we get a motion in a second to introduce?
So moved. Second.
And can we do a roll call? Please?
Ms. Blatcher?
Yes.
Ms. Godesdale?
Yes.
Mr. Lika?
Yes.
Mr. Pamphili?
Yes.
Mayor Hughes. Public hearing will be July 23rd.
If I may interject too, at this point, with this, this has to go to the planning board in between our readings. And I did get a correspondence from our planner. She was aware, obviously, helped draft the ordinance, so was aware it was going to be on for introduction tonight, and had requested authorization to prepare what she termed a memo or letter report to the planning board as to the review of the ordinance for their meeting that's going to be held in between this introduction and then the public hearing and adoption. She said that she has done this on some matters in the past, has prepared an official letter or memo. She's asking me to do it for this particular ordinance and has asked for authorization of up to $1,300 in order for her to do the research and review the master plan and write the report.
So in my mind, I think that we need to be very, very careful with our professional spending over the next couple of months. I don't think that this is something that's necessary. I think that there's a lot of information out there right now on this topic and about towns taking these actions, but I'm certainly interested to see what the committee thinks.
I agree with Rebecca. This is something we have been wanting to do, and I'm glad it was discussed, so I'm comfortable, just moving it ahead.
Yeah. And Diane, if something comes up or there is some form of application, well, we can pivot at that time. Right now, this is a belt and suspender and be in front of something, and I don't think we need to preemptively spend money. So I would like to move forward with this without a presentation prepared.
I agree.
Okay, I noted. I'll let her know. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. All right, moving on to ordinance 2026-14, an ordinance adopting a redevelopment plan entitled Hamilton Uniform Company /Mitsmeet Factory Redevelopment Plan, Block 302-1, to the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A:12A-1 at staff. Is there any discussion of this or information, Dominic, that you'd like to provide?
I mean, I believe all the committee members were provided with the copy of the redevelopment plan. This is only for introduction, so it has to, again, this, like the last ordinance, has to go to the planning board in between readings for a consistency review, and then it'll come back for final adoption. At that point, I guess during the public hearing, if there's any further questions, we can answer them at that point, but pretty straightforward. You know, it's a typical redevelopment plan. It provides all the zoning for that specific block.
I just wanted that, point out that, it does say in the redevelopment plan that, new construction will follow the, design standards and design guidelines. So I just want to make sure that that is strictly followed and that, hopefully by the time we move forward on this, we will have an HPC in place. So I want to make sure that, the residents of the Star Village that the exterior of the building does. I just wanted to make that comment.
Well,
Really change the ordinance, but it's I'm definitely in favor of moving forward with development. But I just wanted to make that comment.
Mike, pull the microphone closer to you.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Dominic, it's being an area need a redevelopment designation anyway. The committee would have sole jurisdiction over the design elements and criteria anyway. So while I'm not saying this has any not to do with a TDR, truly this is one I'm not worried about. HBC. The HBC truly, while maybe helpful in this, the committee does have at its sole discretion the design criteria to critique anything.
Absolutely right.
I do, but I just feel like we need to have that expertise to ensure that it's done properly.
And we'll be able to put all that into the
Yes,
development
no, I
agreement
know, I
ultimately.
just wanted to stress that. That is.
Any other questions or comments on the ordinance introduction? If not, can I get a motion in a second to introduce?
Second.
Thank you. Would you roll call, please?
Sure. Ms. Blatcher? Ms. Godusdale? Mr. Lika?
Yes.
Mr. Panfili?
Yes.
Mayor Hughes? And same thing, that'll be July 23rd.
Thank you. All right, moving on to resolution. Resolution 2026-0606. Resolution appointing Councilman Peter Bells to the position of delegate. Chief, I have a few things I want to say, but I'd like to turn it over to you first if you have anything you want to say.
No, just maybe what it please, we have vacancies as rank sergeant. We had an eligible officer who expressed interest in testing for SANE. We conducted the procedure according to the code. The reviewing committee, made up of myself, the administrator, and the mayor. We held that procedure on June 9th. We developed, tested, and performed admirably. So I made recommendations to the committee, and I seek your support for SANE.
Thank you. And I'll just note a couple of things. 3 years ago, when I was first on the committee, the committee at that time made a decision to increase the number of sergeants that we had in our town as part of our overall efforts to retain and recruit officers. So we've had some openings, and this is to fill a vacancy that we've had. I was able to sit on the interview with Pete and was very, very impressed with just his knowledge of policy, knowledge of Chesterfield, his dedication to the town. So I'm very excited to support this resolution.
Stand up, professional.
Yeah, it really is.
With that, can I get a motion and a second on the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0607, resolution authorizing change order number 1, Campbell Street Coastline Excavating LLC related to the recreation improvement project. This is going back to the cricket pitch dugout, when there was unanticipated concrete work. Joe, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Concrete work was related to an unidentified storm sewer pipe that we found after excavating for the foundation, which wasn't mapped on our stormwater map or on the as-built plans that were submitted by the contractors who did the development of that area originally. So it was unforeseen pipe, it got damaged, it got repaired, we had to quickly repair it, and consequently, we had to relocate the proposed area of the cricket pitch, which required some additional grading work, some fill work. So that's what drove the cost of that price.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments from the committee?
And all the repairs have been done to your satisfaction on the roof?
Yes,
I have
the repairs have been done, but the roof isn't the highest quality roof we could have. But it's.
It's a per specs.
Yes, it is per.
All right, can I get a motion and a second on the resolution?
Motion.
Can I get a second on the resolution?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Malika, thank you.
Resolution 20,
Seemed fine. That's.
But did we approve it already? Other, no.
We did. Just.
Will cost more to defend it than we will.
I wasn't here. Going to repair it,
Okay.
so I don't know why you changed order took so long.
Why the change order didn't take so long? Then there wasn't money until we got repaired. How compared to the.
Resolution 2026-0608, requesting approval of items of revenue and appropriation under NJSA 48:4-87 for NJBP Community Energy Plant Grant Y4 in the amount of $10,000 in the 2026 municipal budget. I spoke with George this morning just about a quick update that we're still waiting for this money to come in, and then we'll be identifying a consultant. Search, I know you've been more hands-on. Is there anything you want to add?
Those are the next steps. The grant has been approved, and George and I, we already did the intake meeting with the sustainable energy liaison. So that was something we were, I guess, expected to do later in August, but we are kind of already ahead in terms of the implementation and this kind of thing. So yeah, the next step is to engage a consultant and then form a small planning team. So we'll be, working on that, and I will keep the committee updated on the next step.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Can I get a motion and a second on the resolution?
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0609, resolution authorizing the transfer of archaeological artifacts to the Chesterfield Township Historical Society. It's our understanding that they are willing to receive them. There's several baker's boxes full. I'm personally just kind of interested to see what's in them. I would love if it's, feasible for the Historical Society to possibly do some type of, special exhibit, just featuring them or sharing what's in them. I think it'd be very cool for the town, but that's a separate conversation. Any other questions or comments on this resolution?
I had none.
Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0610, resolution approving preliminary approval of farmland preservation easement on block 502, lot 16.02 and 25.01 with no municipal cost share. This is the very initial step of this process, but I do think it's important to note that there is no municipal cost share. That is new as of the last year or two from the county, which I think is exciting and worth mentioning. Any questions or comments on the resolution?
Just note that this is a preliminary, and once they receive, then we'll have another one before us.
And there's no cost share because we're within the.
No, no. Yep.
Can I get a motion and a second on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we're gonna have discussion on this next resolution before we consider approving it. Troy, do you want to start with just sharing some background on the need for this funding?
I don't have. I'm assuming it says do it our well.
Yes, this is the emergency appropriation for the well.
So, last week,
And can you
Troy.
talk into your
Yep,
microphone, please?
thank you.
somewhere around last week, we noticed we had a drop in blood pressure at the facility. We did, our analysis of what was going on. We figured it was a pressure tank, it might be something electronic, it was not. We called in the well company or the water company, they did not diagnose the our well is running dry and our well pump is going. Thank you. So the emergency appropriation is because we are severely lacking on water at the DPW facility. So we did not budget for this. We didn't expect this to happen. This is truly an emergency. The CFO, I guess, called the emergency. With the memo that I sent, I think you guys all have the memo that I sent.
So this is a request to appropriate money to immediately fix the well. There's a couple other moving pieces here as we consider this. Deputy Mayor, I want to turn it over to you because I know you jumped into action when you learned about this.
I reached out to Aqua to extend the main, and we had a meeting with Aqua and their engineers today. They're doing a pressure test on Monday on the hydrant to see if it's enough pressure to get across the 12-inch line. They give us several options to go at, like extend the main seems out of reach for us and them. So we could have a meter pit put in and then extend the service line to Public Works Department.
So do we have any idea what the cost of that would be?
It's like 1,000 feet, but it's like about 80, 75.
So which option? The
It's
service line?
dependent on a
service
couple
line.
different factors of which option they're able to move forward
Right,
with.
so what we gathered with the service line, we had, we was going to do a meter pit out here, by our building. And we could run, we would be able to. run
You would self-perform?
We would self-perform.
We would do that ourselves, so I called the contractor real quick, just to get a baseline price, plus or minus 80,000 to run the service line to our facility.
So we don't know yet how feasible this will be, but it needs to be a part of this conversation. And I just want to say to Aqua's credit and Jeremy, to your credit for getting them to respond so quickly. I mean, this all happened within the last day or two. They set up a meeting for this morning with their president and COO. I mean, they responded very, very quickly. They said on the call, like, they want to work with us. They want to try to help us. So they're supposed to have additional information. They're supposed to run the test either tomorrow or Monday, depending on the weather. Have that information over to us early next week at the latest.
I'm not gonna give up on the main yet either. Maybe we just don't cross the street with the main. Maybe we give them an easement and
I agree.
get the main closest that we can to the sleeve.
I don't think we should do it on the form, especially about, put on, well, listen, hey, which one's main, it takes a year or 2 years to get the logistics in place. So the township doesn't very burden that cost, right? In here now, you all know, in here now, we still need to supply with some kind of water. So there is a time frame. I don't think we should give up on running the main.
Or the service, I mean,
Even the
either or.
service.
We gotta wait till their tests come back and their engineer comes back.
Yeah. So then there's a question of, which Joe and I talked about this, the sleeve that's under the ground, under the pipeline. We're not sure the size. Joe believes it is.
We asked for 12-inch ductile originally, but
And that's what they said their main was. And I recall them saying something when we did this. It was supposed to be like a 15-inch or a 20-inch.
I thought we put 15-inch.
That's what I thought. But
the only confirmation I quickly could find was that we requested a 12-inch ductile, but I don't know if it changed between what our original request was and.
I think Aqua asked us to change it.
I think so too, I just couldn't find it.
So I'll call Joe Berkeley.
Why do we need such a big
As-built.
name
What's
if
that?
we're only servicing municipal?
They were gonna do a loop.
Okay.
So, and then that stopped when the gas line went in. So then we talked about the loop today too. So there's redundancy. So nobody could lose water. They could shut the main off at anywhere and Chesterfield would never lose water.
So let me ask you this question. I'm just thinking outside the box. If we took something off his plate and he had a 3-man crew, could we actually self-perform that ourselves, running a service, not a main?
I don't know if we could run 4-inch or 6-inch power, 4-inch
You want
power.
to across the street and do all that?
And
It's all changed. You're running across the street, you've got a gas main, you've got electric,
Mhm.
you got
It's
What
all
if-
fused too, remember, it's gonna be 4 inch.
It has to be
fused.
4 inch to go to him. I didn't know if we could
Yeah.
drop it to a 2.
To have the pressure and everything, it would have to be 4 inch, no less,
Okay.
from that far. If we can get them to run the main closer to the sleeve,
Then maybe.
then we could do 2 inch.
Well, part of the reason why we asked them to put that sleeve in is because then it allows us some flexibility, looking at what we want to do over there. If we wanted to sell off some, however we decide, if we need to decide how we're going to work that area over there. So I think that's another reason to look at, even if it's expensive, in the long run, a better decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but-
Explore that. I'm just saying that,
So the DEP permit alone is 300,000 to run the main end, just the permit.
Yeah.
And then another 300,000 to run the main. So you got $500,000 just across the street.
so we need to look at that. I mean, that's what I was saying, because you said 80,000, so it's actually.
80,000 for the service.
Just for the service.
Service, not for the main.
Okay. So that's, yeah,
And-
that's a big decision.
And the well, is that new treatment or just new well, new pump, new casing?
Well, into our facility, we did treatment, we did the whole.
Okay, so-
Once we knocked down the old municipal building.
Mhm.
we did the whole treatment.
So we don't need to change the treatment, that's still functioning fine?
All perfectly fine, that works great. So they'll just be able to tap right into.
What are you thinking, 300 feet?
For the well, yeah, about 300.
The Englishtown Aquifer? Think they'll probably go down to the Englishtown Aquifer down there, to 300?
Cohansey,
Um,
so I think there's 2 of them in the area there.
There's the Raritan's a little deeper. 350.
Yeah, so I'm not sure which one they were talking about. Our well, they were estimating we wanted 800, so they're looking on 300.
So how are we gonna move forward with this? I mean, we've got to.
So I was thinking, we gave DPW budget for improvements on the building over there this year. Instead of, I mean, the septic isn't designed, we're nowhere near the septic, so we can pull the septic instead of doing an emergency and add this to one of the 3 that we allowed for the improvements on the DPW. That would
So to
be my suggestion.
reprioritize the projects under the capital budget that we had already, so at the meet, along with our budget, just for anybody who's not aware, we, started to create a list of priorities for the DPW building out of capital funding to break up, we're gonna do this year, this much next year, this the following year. This year, the projects were the generator, the septic, and the roof, because those were deemed to be the most pressing needs to have that building better maintained and able to be sustained moving forward. None of those projects have been started, so the thought process would be to reprioritize the well as in this year's capital funding, and then to move the septic to next year.
I think the septic makes the most sense.
So, well, yeah, I think we need to move forward with that, so we're not going to stay.
It's not even designed yet. It's,
But I'm saying that we don't want.
no, I understand that, but in this year's budget, by the time you design it, go to the
No,
health
I
board,
get it,
get it approved,
I get it.
put it out for bid, you're not having it done in the next 6 months.
No, I get it.
Not in the,
I'm
not
just
in the,
saying.
The
Even
set,
if
public
we started
sector.
that preliminary work, we could fund it through next year's capital budget.
the initial setup is a minimal expense compared to the installation.
So and I am in agreement with this, it sounds like we're gonna authorize tonight to go ahead with the development well.
I think we're looking right now to authorize just with the capital improvement budget and use this, what was allocated for the septic and change that to the well and let them do the well repair, assuming New Jersey American Water cannot run a meter pit. I mean, or do we want to maintain that?
Well,
Jeremy, before you answer Karen's one.
You're talking about the capital budget. Has it been funded? Have we done an ordinance to fund the capital improvements?
we've been waiting for bids so we can do that.
Right.
Okay.
We're close.
So,
The
I,
decisions have been made to be able to do those projects.
right, but there's no funds for that. That's going to require an ordinance. It's going to require 2 meetings. I'm just making you aware of it.
No,
Yes.
but I mean, it's because it is emergent, we could also have an extra meeting and then
So,
meet the requirements
so
of
even
however
a-
many days.
I'm sorry. Even a band would take 2 meetings?
It doesn't have to be, if we have the money in the capital budget, we can just do a funded capital budget. If we're going to be doing something that it's going to have to be funded, then we're going to have to do a bond ordinance. Doesn't mean we have to go out and buy notes or anything. Now, It just means that it would authorize that if we need to, or just, yeah, however it goes about getting funded, whether it goes for a bond when a whole bunch of projects are put together, or the temporary financing through the bond or ban if we need that. I just want to make you aware it's not funded. Capital budget is a plan, and you have to budget for it through an ordinance, whether it's funded by the capital program or authorizing borrowing funds.
So, if Troy can get the quotes back fast enough, we could do a special meeting.
Yes, and you don't have to be specific in an ordinance.
Everything we've asked, except for the septic, for the roof,
So
for
roof,
the
generator,
generator,
well.
and now well.
Hopefully have some finance. Generator already have paid for it.
I can't believe people aren't getting back, but they do.
Well, I mean, right, and the issue is we only have one meeting in July, but we could easily, I mean, schedule that everyone's convenience. So we could yeah.
I'm sorry to ask this, is there zero water pressure, diminished water pressure, low water pressure? I mean, what do we?
We lose about 25 to 40 gallons a tank.
Mhm.
And then once we lose that, the pressure tank does not, it won't keep up. The well won't pump enough into the pressure tank to keep up.
And I should know this, outside, I mean, I assume if we wanted to move cleaning equipment, all that, we could temporarily move it over here to the police department parking lot. I know toilets and sinks have,
Large filling, yes, right now, we are on water restriction.
Okay.
DPW, where it's washing hands.
Okay.
Toilets, there's no filling large tanks, there's no washing.
so that,
What do you need for the large tanks?
We,
What are you using the large tanks for? How big are they?
so we're using it for spraying, we use it for irrigation, we have 1,000-gallon tank, but we'll go to about that. And fill that up, the bad part about that is you're going to use your water.
All right, so I have a 5 horsepower pump and a fire hose on the pump. It would 1,000-gallon tank, take 15 minutes to fill up. You're more than welcome to use it.
From where?
Old York Road.
Okay, appreciate that. I will let you know.
so my question is the health portion of operating the public works. You're okay if this took 30 days where you have a bathroom, you have a sink, you have this,
At this time, yes.
we're talking equipment, we're talking usage, irrigation, washing. Okay.
At this time, there's not a health issue. The concern is that, well, as it runs drier, that pump keeps pumping,
Mhm.
keeps up, and then that will ultimately not function
Correct.
properly. And
Understood.
at that point, we will have no water.
Understood.
Well, look, we're taking this seriously. We want to get it done, but we just want to get it done the most cost efficient way for the township.
Absolutely.
All right, so I guess our next steps, you're going to get us quotes ASAP for those 3 items. We will figure out a special meeting once we have them, and then,
This is an office. They would be here to work fast with this.
Yeah, they seem very eager. There was a few more questions after the meeting you and I discussed. We will send again next week after the budget test.
Right.
You know, we can have another quick conference call or something with them.
Yeah.
Ask a few more questions. I know actually we can go out and
Locate,
actually find
locate the
out,
sleeve.
or locate the sleeve and see what the actual distance is. Because I think it's very close to that 1,000, and I think we probably put under that 1,000 without any question.
Right.
Refresh my diminished memory anymore. The sleeve is what we appropriated when we crossed the road, when the pipeline had to come up, and we put that in. I thought we did a massive cross.
It's 15 inches.
Yes.
It was a 12-inch to start, and I believe there was a question from Osgood and I said, we have a 12-inch, so you need to go bigger. So we can go.
It's at least 15.
And I think it went stainless steel.
I thought it did too.
So it'd have to be done the 9th.
I was on a planning board at this, but I remember it had to come to the planning board for some reason.
Yeah, 'cause take away those 2, and yeah.
I only have the request that we made, and I think we made the
The
request.
county doesn't give us as-bills.
Yeah, I think the request we made was the 12-inch ductile iron, because they said they were gonna run a 12-inch main, and then when we got to construction, they wanted the sleeve to run a main later, and that's why the sleeve is big enough to house a 12-inch main. We were gonna put the 12-inch main in and just tap over that, but they preferred the sleeve.
Yep.
And the last question, if we did run a main, would it be a mandate if any residents on the route?
They don't do that.
They
No,
don't
they
do
said
that.
they don't.
They don't do it.
They don't mandate it.
Okay. I just don't want it to be a resident has to tie into it,
Yeah, no,
that we
they don't.
create that issue.
They don't do that. They said that.
Okay.
For that purpose, you need to look at everything on this side over here, there's issues with water, things The other president over there would probably jump in.
But- But that would be at their cost if they chose to in their option.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want to run in a situation if each resident absorbed a $10,000 water service cost for them.
So just for dates to let you know, if it's something that you want to be able to approve at our meeting in July,
Yeah.
we could introduce an ordinance to have a special meeting no later than July 10th. That would be the last date that we could have it to give enough time for publication.
So if we were to have a typical July meeting, it would be the 9th. That would be the second Thursday in July. We don't need to keep to that, but
I think for our professionals, Thursdays are a.
Yeah.
a-
we could also do, I mean, I would anticipate that we'll probably only do this, so we could do, an earlier time.
And I don't think we
Summer.
could assume the second. I'm not comfortable with that to do by the second.
No.
I can make the 9th work.
Might be remote, Starlight, maybe.
Well, as long as we have 4 people here and 4 people in favor of.
We want to be remote. We're going to vote call.
I mean, I'm flexible.
And like I said, it's just going to be introduction. There's no,
But I would prefer not that anything else today.
Is there?
that works. That's why I said we can just do a special meeting.
We could do like the Tuesday the 7th, or keep it Thursday.
Thursday looks better.
Okay, so let's do the 9th at 7. And that will be pending
Aqua's findings, right?
and Troy getting
And
quotes.
so, yeah.
Thanks, everybody. All right, moving on to the bill list. Any questions or comments? Can I get a motion in a second on the bill list?
Some
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, reports and discussions. We have a lengthy list. So we'll start with you in our engineering.
I have a few updates, take my report there for Markham Road. We actually have 2 pumps inside this meeting, one is the restructure removal at the swale and the drainage issue at 65. So, we're going to meeting with the contractor, already notified on the drainage issue. I should have a meeting with them to get a resolution. You gotta go amend both of them.
Is it and I'm not asking this, is it a design issue or is it a field issue where it's just not great? Okay. So we're not,
No, can you just move the microphone?
so we're not responsible for this. We're not, at risk of being the cause of this drainage
No, there
issue.
shouldn't be
Okay.
any cost to the township if it's item that needs to be rectified
Okay.
by the contractor.
Thank you.
Item 3 is Hardback Road. We reached out to the contractor, they initially back in, 310. They initially estimated they were going to start, say, 622. We reached back out to them and we have a 7/13 date. So, we have between March and now, schedule change. So,
Is that definitive or is that subject to change?
that is
again?
definitive at this point. We set it up with the chief and everybody's on board.
And residents have been notified of the change?
They won't be notified until the week before construction, but they will be notified.
And I know I ask it every time, but you're confirming that everybody will be notified, every resident of the paving.
And I don't think Hogback Road in that section has a
Yeah, I
resident.
don't know if
There's
they're.
nobody.
There's nobody on that
For
section.
the whole section.
Just the high school.
And that's board down.
Okay. All right.
Board down.
Let's just make sure, let's be absolutely sure.
They've never given,
Anybody who's even here, who's gonna be impacted on that road, let's just make sure everybody's notified.
they, remember, Boardtown did give us a notice when they put the soccer fields in.
I know, but we want it, but we want it to be better.
We might want to be better, but I'm not going to make them my first call.
They have-
Just can call in the morning of.
They have another entrance.
Item 4, phase 2 of Hardback Road is at DOT right now, waiting for approval phase. So as soon as we get word back that that's ready to go, we'll advertise that, set up to advertise it. Try to get construction squared away.
And that's from High Bridge to Groveville. I think I've asked that every meeting since you said it.
And
Okay.
Up Groveville.
Okay.
Is an
To
alternate
the
bid. Include
creek.
that as an alternate bid, to Groveville.
Okay.
In the, those are tough spots. We're working on the grant application, DOT grant application for 2027. That's due July 1. That won't be an issue. We'll get that application submitted. And then, the Parks Development Grant, item 6. I spoke to Rick Barrett yesterday, actually. He, will have his bonds insurance to me, next week. We're talking to them about the repairs that we need, the existing path that has been take care of when we done this construction. So, once we get the bond's insurance back, we'll get the contract signed and get a date scheduled for the work. I believe that's all I have.
Okay. Can you talk about margin road signs while we're on the engineer's
Yeah,
report? Isn't it?
let's skip to that.
I think it just makes sense while we're here talking about it.
Yeah, so there are 10 new road signs up on Marginal Road that say share the road with bicycles. I guess the decision was made after we decided not to widen the road to the full extent, to put these on as a warning sign. We have received complaints from the residents who the signs were placed on their properties, that they are requesting to have the signs removed or relocated. I think it's reasonable. I understand that there's, we took one down, there's one that's still up, because Joe had mentioned a concern about it being the first sign that folks see when they come from that direction of the road. My opinion is if it was my front lawn, I wouldn't want it there either. Does serve as, a nuisance when you're mowing or, whatever else you're doing out there. I think that there's 8 other signs on the road that get the message across very well. But I know that there's some differing opinions on the committee, so we wanted to talk about it and come to a decision.
Well, I was the one that, when I noticed that Joe specifically said, this the one sign especially, but that's the first one people see as they turn off at 1 Marjoram. That raised a red flag. I mean, we've already had 2 people in this town killed riding bicycles. I would not want, after our engineer said, we need to keep it saying, I don't know if we can move it somewhat to make it so that it's not, to Rebecca's point, in their yard. However, I do want to be assured that we're doing everything we can to make sure, we did compromise with the residents to take out the bike lanes because that's what they wanted. But there's a lot of people that bike on this, and I think in this area, and I think whenever we do a road, we need to be assured that we are doing everything to make sure that bicyclists are safe. So that was why I had asked to have a discussion tonight, to not go down and take the signs down until we really looked at it thoroughly, because I would feel horrible if, knowing that our engineer said we should have this, if something would happen, and I just don't want that to happen. So I want to make sure that whatever we do, we're putting the signs in an area that you feel that provide all the safety precautions we can for anyone who's riding a bike on the road, or any of our roads, but this is the one that we are doing.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I understand the preference not to have it on anybody's particular property or front lawn. It is the first time there. I did talk to Troy about potentially doing a double-sided sign on the opposite side of the road. So as you're driving up Marjoram, that side, it would be on your left-hand side, it's still facing you. And there's a couple areas where there's trees on the shoulder that we can place the signs that really wouldn't impact anybody's, I'll say, usable property, or front lawn, so to speak. We could do that. That's one option that I'd be comfortable with. The other option is striping the road, sharing the road, striping in the road, somewhat in the same locations where that sign is down, but just another identification.
Wouldn't you find that the identification of a bike lane be a safer approach anyway?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't you believe, I personally find that striping a bike lane is still safer than a sign anyway.
It would be a stripe share the road sign.
Okay.
In the road.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'd rather see the double sign.
Yeah, I'm totally comfortable with that. I think that provides notice early enough to people that are just coming onto the roadway. I think there's an appropriate location for it. And I think it provides the safety notification that we were looking for.
And we're utilizing the traffic signs too as a mounting post on a lower level, or we can't do that under our, so the stop sign or any of those signs to, they're all new signs, so we can't. I'm sorry, please.
Isn't there a speed limit sign as soon as you come on?
There is.
Can we double?
That's what
check?
you just said that, because the one that is in question is it's a vision problem when she comes out to her driveway and looks, and it's a distraction because it's right in her viewpoint.
The double sign, I mean, it's almost directly across the street from that sign. is we're just
That
Yeah.
one's
talking
already,
I'm fine with that.
we're talking about further up the road a little bit more where it would start.
where the stump has to come out.
Yeah.
Right about there. Just
Yeah.
try to
Double them up right there.
just double them up on
Yeah.
that.
I'm fine with that. And is that governed by RSIS?
No, it's a regulatory, it's a warning sign, it's not a
Okay.
statutory sign.
So this
So
isn't,
there's no particular prescription for where they need to be or how many you're supposed to have.
so this is a personal opinion. We're not dealing with, we're not violating a statute or
No.
okay.
So I have a question. So you drive down Margin, you definitely see all these signs. I can't remember seeing one on Sykesville Road at all. Is there any on Sykesville Road at all, or can we move some of these signs on Sykesville?
There's none.
There is none. There is none of these signs on Sykesville where the accidents happen. that
Where two
he's
fatalities
talking
were.
about. But
And
here
if
we
we're
have it
going to
on
move
this
them,
short
can we not put
stretch.
it on people's property?
Here we have this short stretch and there's so many signs and we didn't put any on Sykesville Road.
Or Buttonwood, or.
No, well, I'm just
I
saying,
agree.
that's where the
There's a
incidents
lot of ways
happen,
we can go
so.
back and
Yeah.
put them
Yeah.
on. We certainly look at it, and as signage, I don't think that's a big lift for you guys to do.
No, I'm just curious as to why we needed so many signs on this road.
Yeah.
Why were they
No
planned that way,
concept
that's
on
all.
Sykesville Road to widen the road at any point. And I think with Martin Road, the concept was to widen the road to give for the pedestrians, the bikes, and so on and so forth. And then once that got scaled down, that's when it was like, well, okay, well, then we need to make the notification.
Yeah, instead of having the dedicated shoulder or bike lane
Right.
there, we swapped it basically for the side.
So that was sort of a compromise.
No, I understand that, but I'm just making a point that
Yeah.
we paved a long road where the two incidents happened and there's none of these signs on that road. And there's more bike riders on Sykesville Road than there is on Margin.
I'll argue, I mean, aren't we gonna deal with this with hogback?
It would be the same scenario.
Yeah.
When we did Parker, when we did, yeah, it would be the same scenario. Yeah.
So we can deal with an hogback now too. And there's a lot of bike traffic on hogback. I agree with the
I'm good with the
double-sided.
double side.
Me too.
Yes, as long as you feel that that's.
I do, I do, yeah.
then I'm totally fine.
Thank you, Jack. All right, so I want to do the rest of the discussion items and then we'll do the HPC last, if that's okay with everybody. So Rachel, can I ask you to give your harvest fest update, please?
So this is about the beer garden. Council Court and I have some plans on the other that I want to speak regarding the beer garden and harvest festival. So I'm going to go to the requirements of the beer garden and ask that we sketch out what it will look like, size, location, et cetera. He needs the sketch in order to apply for the ABC license program. Troy and I went out to Village Square yesterday, picked out a spot for the garden, marked it out on a map. You guys have those maps, there's two of them, close up and one more of the whole park on your Chromebooks, if you want to view them. Basically, George just suggested, even though I think most of you want the beer garden and have, we're advertising for it, George thought that we needed like one, to vote on, just like a final approval. But we're going to definitely do the beer garden, and once, we do that, then I can get together with John with the sketch, fill out the application, and we can apply.
Any questions?
I didn't see the sketch, I don't know.
You know,
It's
I'm sorry, I just did it, I sent it, I put it on your Chromebook today, so it's on there right now.
Okay, so when I.
Well, it's right in front of you. It's right in front if you want to look.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, since I haven't seen it, maybe I'm asking the question, it's like the big clear one, it's a little clear there, and the size, that there's signage, to make sure that we don't have,
Yeah, John has done this
Yeah.
before, so we're gonna, yeah, I mean, we actually have to have, like a fencing or barrier.
It's pretty regulated where
Mhm.
it's separate, yeah.
That's why we have to do the sketch. So we were thinking, to tie it into the Harvest Festival, we would use the hay bales to go around, so Troy and I even measured like how many hay bales, extra hay bales we're gonna need for that. And John said that was great, that was awesome. He's gonna have all his staff there, he said, everybody is going to be, they're gonna be checking IDs, even said, at events like this, let's say I come up to get, and I want like 3 beers, I can only get 2. Because I guess if you have more than 2, then you're giving them off to maybe younger people, like that kind of thing. But, yeah, they're very professional. I think that they really know what they're doing. And there are a lot of requirements just to apply for the permit. And the sketching is one of them. And I don't even think that, I think that our sketch is not even complete yet. I just kind of wanted to show you guys a little bit of like where it's going to be and the size and that kind of thing. Like I said, George just really wanted that, since we're having a meeting.
Since this has been a
Homework
choice,
approval,
just wanted all of your blessings, so
And then we'll move forward.
there's no doubt about it.
I kind of like the first one, away from the amphitheater.
They're actually both the
Off
same.
Thorn.
I think they're both the same.
So the same place.
They're both the same. It's just one is a big, it's the whole park, and the other one is a close-up, but it's actually.
The same parcel.
Rachel, thank you for all your work on this. I'm excited. I think it's a fun new addition for our 10th anniversary Harvest Fest. I have all the confidence. I know it's very heavily regulated, so I know it has to be separate and there's, all these extra precautions in place. Any other comments, questions? All right, can we get a motion in a second to approve that plan?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I added on tennis courts to this list. I've been hearing from several residents, especially as we have been talking about the new the new pickleball courts that are being installed over at Benton, that our tennis courts are in disrepair. So I wanted to first ask Troy to take a look, let us know, I think, the scope of work, if it's something that DPW is able to clean up, repair, or if it's something that maybe the committee needs to have more conversations about allocating possibly recreation fund dollars to update.
So we've actually, last week or about 3 weeks ago, we ordered new nets for family, those were installed. I had a contractor come out, and the contractor is came out to give me a quote for cricket pitch. I also, for our tennis courts, both that family and here, because that we did seal a couple of years ago, it's repair of just regular crack sealing and work from that. So I did receive a quote from them. Talked to Joe a couple of weeks ago about the same possibility of using our screens or something like that next year to do these upgrades to these existing fields instead of creating new projects. I think it's going to have a lot of recreational things out there. We need to really maintain a lot of them. We don't have the operating budget to do so. We have recreation funds. Our grant funds and such. Rec study next year would be great time to do that, along with using that grant money to use your events.
Yeah, and I appreciate that
Preliminary was
suggestion.
about $78,000.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, Joe, is there something with Barrett out there doing a seal coat and then be able to paint over top? I mean, that is an asphalt-based tennis course, correct?
Painted asphalt, yeah. They're both asphalt. They could do crack repairs and then resurface it.
I mean, is it worth, if we have a contractor out there already, if they're that bad, is it worth it getting?
You would have to pull the fences.
He would hire a sub for that.
They traditionally do an epoxy repair on tennis courts, not just like regular asphalt repair, but it's epoxy.
Can we do some kind of crack repair right now and just pressure wash them so they
Yeah,
look a
so
little better?
We're looking at pressure washing. We did that last year, the year before, pressure washing, $1,000 tank that I'm talking about. But we did pressure washing last year, the year before, we did pressure washing again. We did crack seal 2 years ago, just got it, shipping a crack sealer. The ones that we can seal, we will seal. The problem with that is it does create an uneven surface. And the ball hits it or the uneven surface. It's not like a epoxy, it's a protective method. They sand it, they fabricate, and they come back and so it is a process.
I'm just talking about the temporary issue.
Oh, temporary, yeah, absolutely. The ones that we can seal, yes, we will. We'll take care of the ones that we can do, but crack sealing anything over a half inch wide, you're wasting time and material.
Appreciate you taking the initiative on those notes too, Troy.
Are there usually grants for this kind of work?
Yeah, it would be covered under any of the parks type streams that we requested that.
Karen, the added, discussion topic, Civic Plus program.
I know at budget time, you said you wanted me to go and look at other prices for the agenda and minutes. At the budget time, I also included one for media. The second quote that I got from another agency was more. And I think we can just go with the agenda and meeting package right now and avoid the media one, which was the more expensive one. I don't think, since we already have GoToMeeting, it doesn't really help us. Some of the things that they can do, like have multiple meetings going on at one time, if there were other things doing that, we couldn't do anyway, because it would still utilize our GoToMeeting. So the only thing it would do is provide like closed caption and something like that. I don't know if we're gonna have to do that in the future, but I think it's something we can, if we can just move forward with this one part of it, then we can get moving with that, because that's gonna take about 3 months to get it into place.
So that would probably be the minutes.
It would cover agenda and minutes, and it will make our life a lot easier and smoother and automate a lot of the things. That's with the media portion. Well, that's the media portion. So the media portion would do that. The media portion also bookmarked certain things. So part in the agenda, we bookmark them as we go through the agenda, and somebody could move right to that part in the minutes or in the video, rather than just have to scroll through the whole thing and look at it. It's just that's that add-on is like $5,500. That's $5,500 every year.
So does this fall under the amount that we budgeted for it?
Oh yeah, if I did both of them, it would fall under the amount. And not that it changes the budget line. I mean, it would change the budget line item, but we can split the cost with the planning board. Either way, it's still the tax dollar, so it doesn't, matter how we split it up. It would be the planning board and environmental. Any of the boards can use this.
I know I've been, again, very often people complain about wanting to go on, or somebody said we discussed this, but then,
Correct.
So I was assuming that we were going to do this.
If the committee agrees to do that different expenditure, then I have no problem with it. But I just thought that
What exactly does that extra feature include?
the extra feature would allow for, we still use GoToMeeting, but it gets streamed through their site. So it would be live view. If somebody, they don't have to go to another meeting link to click onto something. It's yeah, and it would automatically update to the website. It would do closed captioning. There are a couple other things that they would do. Just the one thing that I thought about is multiple meetings and things like that. That's just one thing that we couldn't, which is no big deal. It will be $5,500 a year.
Well, I'm just saying, since we discussed it, I've been telling people that I'm going to, when I start to go on, let's get this package in place, because people must complain to me on a pretty regular basis, that they try to go back and see, oh, I heard this was discussed, and I went on, and it's not up.
Right, because it's
difficult, we have a
it's
small
cumbersome.
staff, but once we get this package in place, so I really would like to see it. I know the multiple meetings and all that, I don't know if that makes a difference, but I think just to have the meetings down there, I think it's something the public that reaches out to me want to be able to go back.
So some of the things it does, it links the meeting agendas with bookmarks directly to that portion of the meetings. And they can do them live or on demand whenever. It does have the closed captioning. So like I said, as soon as our meetings are done, they can view them live with us when they're on, or they can just go directly to the site, and they came in a half an hour later, whatever, they can go and start it from the beginning if they wanted to, and it would already be there.
Well, my part, I think $500. People I have talking to me about that, I think it's something that really appreciate.
It does provide a better transcript than a GoToMeeting. And I'm hoping once we update our sound system, then it'll be a very accurate transcript.
I mean, we have a ton of issues with this program where, I mean, if we could alleviate that where there's no issues.
The issues, I don't think are with, like our sound issue is not GoToMeeting, it's our sound system here. And like I said, I have quotes in and I have two completely different quotes of what they think is wrong with this system. From putting in a whole new system for like 14, I think it was 14,000, to just like piecemealing things. And if you're going to go to the next step, it's going to be this much more and this much more. And I don't want to do part of it and then have to keep adding on and don't know how much we're going to end up spending to update it. The other one would come in and basically redo the whole system. So.
The idea folks will be able to access the meetings and the minutes right away and, you know.
Well, not the minutes. The minutes will get up there. Well, the minutes can't get up. Right. The minutes won't go up until they're approved by the township committee. So they're always a month behind.
Is this need to be a formal resolution or are you just looking for?
I'm just looking for a verbal approval.
And then when would it be in effect?
I could sign it tomorrow or Monday. George could sign it and the agreement, and then it's going to take at least 3 months because they have to pull in all historical data. It'll be a little different view from our website. So what people are used to looking when they go into the agenda minutes, it's going to be slightly different.
So I understood this is within what we budgeted this year.
We did budget, but we can move forward. How much is I know that piece is 5,500, how much is just the agenda and minutes piece?
The recurring amount would be 46. The initial term is $7,700 because that's pulling in all the other data. The initial term and that has a recurring cost of 4,600. Where this one, the initial cost would be, let's just say 12,500, and the recurring would be 10,100.
I'm okay with it. Wait, do we budget it? We have budget.
Yeah.
And I tried to find,
It's a lot of money, but I think we owe it to our residents for them to be able to easily access what we're doing here. It's important for them to be able to see it. Yeah.
But it's going to not look good if we do this and we don't fix the other problems and we still have all transmission problems so we have to make sure if we're going to do it, we have to make
It's
sure.
not good if that everyone can't hear.
Yeah, so we do absolutely, that's the other.
This, I'll try and clear that up this next month, and we'll bring something at the meeting at the end of July.
Then yes, I'm fine with it.
If I just have a motion, just,
And it's what, 12.5 in total?
it's 12,400 and change,
Okay.
so.
Up to 12.5.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to the HPC ordinance status.
Oops. I'm sorry, who made that motion, or did you get it, Rach?
I made the motion.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
And I just said yay. Anyone say-
Oh, okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Dominic, do you want to, share an update of where we're at? Denise, do you want to share from your perspective on the HPC ordinance status update?
I mean, my 2 cents on the topic is that, and it doesn't change from the last time we had our discussion last month, is that I think, if we are moving forward, that we have to address the master plan amendment first, which is going to be a bit of legwork because that master plan amendment's got to include the list of the properties now and the criteria. So that all has to be worked on, discussed, figured out, and eventually put into the document and then approved, through the process through the municipal land use law. So that's got to come first, in my opinion. The ordinance, yes, that could be worked on again, as we've said, parallel, sidetrack, but that's not going to come first. I did provide the committee with where I'm at with the ordinance. There's still a couple of sections that I want to still tweak. I think I've highlighted those when I sent that out. Those are the highlighted sections. But it's pretty much getting close. But I want to stress that if we're going to move forward, that we got to work on the master plan amendment beside, rather than the actual ordinance at this point.
Mayor, can I ask something? It's been how many meetings since our planner's been here? Why is she not here tonight? I mean,
But we didn't ask her to be
but,
here.
but I guess this is something that's, I want to put on record. I thought our professionals were paid to be assumed to be at meetings. It's a cost at every meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So Joe and Dominic are here almost every meeting. The planner only comes when we ask her to come.
I guess to talk about the HBC, it's a planning element. I don't know how we have a conversation, and I appreciate what Dominic's bringing. But without a planner, I don't know how we talk about a planning element.
Well, the planning element isn't,
Because then we end up having to relay it on a separate conversation.
It's just, I'm not. I just want to, it's, we have a planner for a reason. If I don't have a professional, I might as well be the professional.
Well, I think that's a point, but we didn't ask her. I was gonna suggest in terms of what we're doing with this is, I would like to sit down with Glenn, one of you, whoever, the three of us, and anybody else that you think should do with the plan or whoever, come up with a list of what addresses we want to put in the historic district that we can then present to the full body, the full committee. Number one, and number two, we do need to come up with these criteria. And
I'm sorry, guys, please, they just wanted to know if you guys can talk about it.
Oh, and
Maybe just talking to me in my
I
phone.
thought I was.
I'm sorry.
I was saying I would like to
That's
sit
better.
down with Glenn and somebody else from the committee and the planner, or whoever, and come up with a list of addresses that we want to have, so at least we have an idea of what we're doing in terms of what is going to be the list of properties. I think that to me, and then I think we can do that before the next meeting. We can present that to the committee for the next meeting, and then the committee can decide their feelings on that. In terms of the criteria, we've had extensive discussions about that, so I think we just need to write down what we think, present it to the committee can look at it, and then we can go ahead and have it go, I would hope, to the planning board for your August meeting, if we can get this done and move at the line meeting. So, flip side is, maybe we need to have an extra meeting to discuss this as well. And I don't know, I'll leave it up to the rest of you what you think you want to do in terms of those. But those are my suggestions of how to move forward with it.
If there's a master plan element, and we have to go out for review next year anyway, or we have to review it, shouldn't we start that process now? Just do it all at one time?
Yes.
Well, that's a decision for the planning board to make.
And-
I thought it was our decision, not the planning
It's our
board.
decision.
no, not the master plan.
To
Yeah, they
do a
decide.
recommendation to revisit comes from us, correct?
Mhm.
We have to make the recommendation. We have to make the recommendation. Yes.
Well, I'm comfortable with making that recommendation right now, and then we can come up with this and ask them to include it when they do it. If they
That
do
is
it,
going to be a
then-
12-month project.
Yes, and
And
this needs to be done before that. I think this part of it needs to be done. I don't think it's fair to our residents to ask them to wait a year for this part of it to be updated. I really don't. And we had this discussion, I thought at the last meeting, that we were all in agreement that we were gonna go forward with this. And then when I brought it up that to go to the planning board, I was told, no, we didn't actually, we really needed to have more of an official vote, so, okay, so tonight. But I feel that it would be wrong to make, if it's gonna take a year to do the whole master plan over again, I don't think it's fair to make people wait a year to get this piece of it. I think we can ask them to go ahead with this portion.
first and foremost, the most important part of the master plan, in my opinion, is not the HBC, but it's the TDRs. That has to be, that impacts every resident in Chesterfield, how that works.
Let's not get off.
Well,
Yeah, I'm not talking HBC, but
Right.
so before we do this, I want to understand, and this is a question to Dominic, not to the committee members. And you may or may not have answered. Listening to the presentation 2 meetings ago I was at, I don't know if anything was discussed at the last meeting. I apologize, I was traveling. But if I understand the sequence, we have to create an element. Historical preservation.
We have to amend it. I mean, we have one right now, but
Okay.
it's antiquated.
Okay. That has to be done by a planner.
Correct.
So we have to get a bid to do this.
Or you had to.
We have a planner,
You
but
have a planner,
she
yeah.
just gave us $13 proposal to do a presentation to the planning board for one thing. So I have to believe this will be significantly more than $1,300.
So I think you would have to
Correct.
ask
So,
her for
a bid.
initially for a
Yeah,
quote. Yeah,
correct.
right.
Then after that, then we have to hire someone to do a survey, a historic preservation professional to do a survey.
I don't think you have to. I think that's debatable.
Okay.
I don't think that's a requirement. You can if you want.
Only one person,
Yeah,
only one person,
So
please.
I let you talk. So I believe that if we're going to do this, we're going to do this at a professional. We're going to make this bulletproof. That's my opinion. Then after we do the inventory, we have to create a criteria, and that goes back to the planner.
Yeah, it's all contained in this
Yeah.
element of the master plan.
And then if I understand it, and I could be wrong on this, and I'm actually asking, Glenn needs to answer this question. Has there ever been an official survey adopted? There's no map. So after we do this, and we have to create a map.
The only thing we have with the historic is what's outlined in the other room, which is in our zoning, and it's an
That's good.
overlay for the historic district.
I'm not saying this, I'm trying to make sure I am understanding the sequence, and we all agree with the sequence. So after then, we create a map. Then we have to go to you, Dominic, and you have to compare it to the municipal land use laws, correct? In the ordinance, you have to create an ordinance through this, tie this back to an ordinance for an HPC.
Oh, yeah, we're talking,
Yeah,
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 so that's what you're doing now, yeah.
He hasn't done that because how could he do it if we don't have a survey or an element done, or if we haven't done a planner done this?
No, just because the HPC ordinance just references it.
Mhm.
So those steps have to be done.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's not like within the order. I just want to make sure. that
But I
the ordinance
understand.
references it.
Now, what, if we reestablish an HPC to save us money, what could the HPC do? Could they do the element?
No.
No, they can't.
The elements, the planning board.
Okay. That's, no,
Yeah, no.
no, not the planning board. The element's a planner to the planning board.
Yeah, the planning board is the one who approves,
Okay.
is who
Yep.
brings it out and adopts it.
And then after we do this, then we can go to an ordinance introduction and adoption.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
And your opinion, how long would this take?
Oh.
To do it right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take to do the element. I mean, that's in my mind. What I'm thinking is that's going to take the longest, but I don't know how long. I don't know how much time people have. It's all arbitrary. I don't know. Probably months. Definitely months, but I don't know.
Well, I think we need to talk to Lee and find out what.
Yeah.
How long it take.
She's the one
We do
drafting
have
it.
an element, so it needs to be updated. So it's not like she's starting from scratch, it's updating. I would hope that she would use input from other historic districts and other towns and give us that. I mean, I'm not. I
Yeah,
think-
that part
I think
isn't
that's
the hard
question.
part.
Yeah.
It's laying out all the properties, contributing, non-contributing, and then the criteria and stuff like that. So that's in my mind is what I'm thinking is going to take a while to do. Maybe it won't.
And the cost. We are a cost sensitive board, the cost.
Absolutely.
If
Yeah.
this run, my guess, 20 to 25,000.
I think it'd probably be wise to get
A proposal.
ask for a proposal up
Correct.
front to
Yeah.
kind of know
Yeah.
where you're going.
I am not sure, but I did think that the lady that came, I apologize, I don't recall her name, Andrea, did say there is grants that can be utilized.
We have to update our ordinance in order to have it be satisfied in order to get those grants. That's the reason.
That
why
is
we're
not what I was told. I was told we cannot even submit to we can use the grants to work on our ordinance, but the grants aren't contingent on having the ordinance, is what I was told. You disagree with that?
Well.
I'm
that's
yes or
not
no?
My understanding, it's
Okay.
not my understanding, but we can look into that.
So my opinion is this, I will not move anything till I understand what it costs the residents of the township of Chesterfield. So I may know at this moment till I understand 20,000 to 2,000 is a big.
Well, then I think we need to get a quote from Leah. I think that we can sit down with Glenn and look at the addresses and figure out what we want to make the historic district to B, the overlay to B. And then we need to do, obviously, the work on the designations. That, to me, is gonna take some time.
And then I have to ask, and I do not disagree with Denise on one thing, that there should be something in place to prevent a crazy application to just go rogue on us. And right now, the quickest path to do that is looking at 130.21, 130.31, which has been in place and was the historical element for decades prior to the HBC.
Mhm.
And we could adjust that with criteria. Now, I understand that only covers stuff that requires permits. If it's going to be enforced with permit, really? How do you enforce that if someone wants to put a fence up? It's not a permit required.
I have two things to say to that. Number one.
Can you wait till I'm done talking? Then I let you go say whatever you want. I will. So that being said, the path to do that, we can almost do that via resolution. If we collectively, whether had a workshop, whether had a group session, and came up with what was important to provide a belts and suspender approach to this at this moment, we, over the next 30 days, potentially could revise our current ordinance, 132.1 and 133.1, to provide security and protection to the residents within the village of the current zone.
Except it would be done by ordinance on those.
Right, the ordinance, but we could, since an ordinance is in place, we can modify the ordinance if we worked on that, and that would be the quickest path to provide some form of governance. What you're much more a better orator than me. What correct term is, but a governing document to prevent a Brady Bunch house from showing up in the village again. And we can do that internally with you, and that would allow us to do the HBC study properly. Do we disagree with that?
I don't disagree with that statement.
That's, and Denise, now I am done.
Oh,
But
I'm sorry. I thought a couple of times you were finished. I apologize.
that's okay.
My only comment to that is that speaking to people and looking at the history of the HPC, one of the main reasons why the residents requested an HPC is because the construction code official has no training in historic, has no training, did not understand. And I was told, even when they spoke to him, this is not his wheelhouse. So he's being told to do something that's not his wheelhouse, he didn't understand. And a lot of times they would say, and this is not a criticism, I'm just telling you what I was told. You know, that certain things with the windows, certain things with the lights on the windows, certain things with the number of panes, the whole thing, that he would just say, well, okay, whatever, and approve it. So I think if we do it, we need to have some real teeth. We need to have who is going to work with the construction officials to understand these things. Second, is when this was in effect, and I could be wrong with my timing about this, and we have to ask Glenn or somebody who knows, permits covered a lot more things than they cover now. At one point, back then, you had to get permits to get a roof, to get new windows, to get a new porch put on. All of that is done away from now. So yes, it would save, I guess, somebody from building a house that was totally, looked like something that's belonged to the village as opposed to. But I still don't think that it's going to protect our residents from somebody tearing down their porch and putting up a porch that totally doesn't. A major thing.
A porch still does require permits. Siding, roofing, and only replacement windows do not require it.
Right.
And we can create a material guidelines, and I don't mean to interrupt you, we can create it. I agree with you. Yes, at the time, roofing, siding, fencing did require a permit, and sheds. Sheds should not be covered in backyards. Fencing, I agree, something should be in there. Don't disagree, and I do agree something should be roofs and siding, whether or not permits or not, I think we can put it in there if the enforcement is hard. But that being said, I don't disagree. And there would have to be a discussion, and I don't have an answer tonight. Someone of some form of expertise should be a co-help to Glenn. I agree with all that.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is that was what was important, and it wasn't working, and that's why people asked for an HPC in the first place. So if we went forward with that plan, I think we need to do it with the understanding that we're gonna have some teeth to it.
Oh.
That the construction code official really does have to listen to the recommendations. And then also, not for nothing, but I think then we're going from a HPC that is overseen by the planning board, that every decision that they make is signed off by the planning board, to these things being done with just the input of the construction official and one or two people that this body has no oversight to, unless we somehow figure out a way to do that. To me, I think to reinstate the HPC, who has to go to the planning board with everything that they recommend, that to me is more of a, and do it under the current ordinance, is more to me protection and more to, for us and for the residents than having somebody, two people, three people making a decision that does not go before the planning board. So that's my only concern.
It's not supposed to be a decision, it's an advisory board to begin with.
Right.
So it's advisory, so it's not really a decision.
Well, I'm saying though that the decision would be made by the planning board. I'm saying, when I say decision, I mean the planning board.
Well-
But if you just have the construction official going ahead and issuing things with input from anybody, they could be the most knowledgeable person in the world, it's not going to the planning board. So these decisions are being made by the construction official and somebody that hopefully we would get a good person. But to me, that offers us less than what we had over the past 10 years, where every decision was signed off by, and decided on by the planning board.
My opinion is it is a path to an immediate solution to prevent anything crazy. I do believe if we created, and I will say, use the term, and I don't know this term is proper, but material guidelines or we have talked about this in the inception of the HPC, HPC, we were going to pick out a roof. If it was a person did this type of roof, it didn't need to go to the HPC. It was if they changed in kind, it didn't need to go to HPC, but if they wanted to change, this was an approved product.
And those changes are in the new ordinance.
Yes, but if we put those while we do a review and price out the new ordinance, and we put that in the current ordinance in place, we would have the same protection because there would be no interpretation. There are specific material guidelines to Glenn. If it needed a permit, he's going to a professional through 130.21 and 130.31. If it's a non-permitted use, there is a material guidelines list they can use. We can't say they have to use Anderson windows, but they have to use wood-clad windows with 6 on 6. I don't know what the control pattern is. If they changed the roof, they could not use a tab roof. It would have to be an architectural roof. We never governed color. If they used siding, and I'm a firm believer, if they have something, they should be able to replace with what they have.
And that,
Yeah. So
that's always been.
correct. But we had the one element that it wasn't, that we went rogue, the ranch house where they had siding, they wanted siding, and we heard it for 3 months. And that truly got a lot of people out of the audience and created the animosity in some ways that we wanted to go from vinyl siding to mandate hard.
Only in, no.
That was the ranch house. The gentleman came in because he petitioned it, and we had a packed room in the planning board level that time. And we finally said, you are correct. You have vinyl. We can't mandate you upgrade.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay.
That must have been.
So, I guess- Yeah, I'm not arguing, I'm saying, so I think we can get to the same path and immediately quicker than and bidding out the HPC. That is my 2 cents. I'm not going to beat it to death. At least that's how I understood it. And what I think gets us to a,
Well, I would say, I disagree with you. I think that to reinstate the HPC under the current, have it go before the planning board, as it always has, and have the planning board making these decisions, to me, offers a greater level up. And continue, and then continue to update the HPC ordinance and do everything else that you and Dominic and everybody, Lorraine and everybody has talked about. I'm on board with that. But I think that to have the protections and to have it overseen by the planning board, to me, offers greater protection for this body and for the planning board than reinventing the wheel and just creating more work for Glenn and the construction official. That could be done by volunteers, has been done by volunteers for 10 years, and will continue to be approved by the planning board. So that's my 2 cents.
anything else from the committee on this, please?
I'd like to go on Lee's path. And at least it gives us some protection now until we get the quotes in. And maybe the Historical Society used to oversee it. We just had 2 volunteers from the Historical Society. And maybe we pick 2 people, or the mayor appoints 2 people, like he would the HBC, or 3 people to oversee.
Well, I think, well, first of all, I don't think we have the authority to appoint from the historical
Well,
society. I think we can ask them.
No, I didn't say from the Historical Society. I said in the past, the Historical Society had 2 volunteers to oversee the plan before.
Yes.
Now I'm
And one of
saying,
those volunteers was the one that told me the process did not work. So I think we need to make sure that if we go this route, that we are putting in very strong guidelines that the construction official has to follow the recommendations of this person.
we can amend this ordinance and do the list of materials and stuff and add a.
I think perhaps we should schedule a workshop and then we can talk a little more informally about all of this.
The one thing I would ask, and I agree with that, but I would like to understand, and I don't know if we use our planner, this may be a project we put out and ask for solicitations, I don't know. But I do think, I would like to understand what it costs the taxpayers, because we have 7,500, I believe, in the budget this year for HBC. I
I don't
believe,
remember off the top of my head.
I don't know, do you remember any chance? I thought it was 7,500.
Well, this would probably come out of the planner budget.
Right, and that's even less, I think, I don't know.
No, usually, and there's planning projects also. We usually put
Yeah.
like
So-
10,000.
So I'd like to understand what it costs the taxpayers. But I don't disagree that there should be something in place. And I think the quickest way to get something in place is to put teeth into 130-21 and 130-31.
And I think the quickest way is to reinstate the HPC under the current ordinance and have everything moved before the plan. Because I just
Yeah.
think we're paying a construction official extra money to spend time to do this also, because our construction officials work part-time, don't they?
It's 2 hours a day.
Okay, 2 hours a day.
And how many applications do you have this year to date?
Oh,
And tight.
No,
They get one
historic.
or two a month.
Historic. Yeah.
1 or 2 a month at most.
So I'm saying.
I'm
no,
not saying
yeah.
it's a lot, I'm just saying when you're talking about somebody who works 2 days a week.
Can I ask you a question, just so I understand? So when there was approval for someone that was going to do something on a storage structure, somehow that was communicated to the construction official?
The best
so
way-
they could ensure the right materials were used?
Yes, so.
How was that communicated?
So how it was, so I think I was one of the last applications when I built my current house under 130-21 and 30-21. So I had to provide a full set of architectural plans. Those architectural plans were submitted to an individual who was, that time it was Debbie Kelly. She was the person designated as professional in town through the Historical Society.
As a volunteer?
As a volunteer, she reviewed that. That went, she made recommendations, it didn't go to the planning board, it came back. It was our decision, but I don't know of many people that didn't go by the recommendations to make it work. Once the HBC ordinance came into place, there has been discussions that were never implemented, that we're going to create a material guidelines list. These were approved materials.
We do have.
We don't have, we do not have materials. We do not, we talking,
Well, it's very difficult to put, like, you can't say to somebody you have to use part of the plan.
no, that you can use cement siding.
But yes,
Correct.
and all of that is,
But it was my opinion, these, that was never adopted. It was adopted in the HBC. It's not in 130-21 or 130.
no, we have the design guidelines that were approved by this body.
Not in this ordinance.
Well, it was approved though, it's not necessarily in this ordinance, but they were approved. The design guidelines were voted on and approved by this body. And they're on our website.
For the HPC, not 130-21, 130.
The
Yeah.
design guidelines that were paid for and approved by this body is what the HPC had been using ever since they were approved.
But that was for
Paid
ordinance.
by
But that's for the
design.
HPC ordinance.
That's for the HPC ordinance that doesn't currently exist.
Well, see, I think then we're even talking about, so that
It's
was
not gonna go
spent
anywhere.
money to develop design guidelines that we're now gonna throw in the trash. To me, that doesn't make any sense. We spent money for these, we hired somebody, we're working under them, And then now we're gonna say we're just gonna ignore that? Or,
No, I'm saying we're putting them in 130.
Yeah, no, you would just reference
You would
them.
reference them in this.
They're not, right now, they're silent.
Yes, I'm trying to say they're not in this. So yes, but what never came to fruition. So when Glenn was part of the planning board, he was what, prior to Troy, it was Glenn, and Glenn did it for many years. We had the privilege then, when something came from the HPC to the planning board, we had Glenn on the planning board that could then not only act as a planning board member, but as the zoning officer who was issuing the permits, and therefore it was interactive communication. This is what is asked. How do you feel about it? The HBC would present it, planning board would hear it, and Glenn would be part of the planning board. We then broke. I mean, at the end of the day, we had guidelines, but we didn't do specific. There was a point that we were going to pick specific. We could never use manufacturing brands. We were going to pick specific approved product that Glenn could approve without it. We wanted to have Glenn be able to get the autonomy to approve them without HPC. That never came to fruition. It was then to take anything that was de minimis repair. They replaced siding, replaced roof. They could just go right to Glenn. Glenn said, "Jeff, it's in the." I think that's what this does. That's just my opinion.
But those instructions that Glenn had, how were they communicated to the construction official so that as the project was underway, they would ensure that the appropriate materials were being used?
Through the HPC ordinance.
Okay, but was there a memo or a resolution?
None
So
that
you
I know.
have planning board resolutions that get followed upon? Nothing like that.
None that I know of.
So I mean, that's a breakdown. That's always going to occur unless there is something that memorializes exactly what has to be inspected. And I agree, to use brand names proprietary is bad news.
And I made that mistake once. I had an applicant said, "No, you got Anderson." No,
Yeah.
and they corrected me. No, they could use pellet. They could use as long as it met the definition of the criteria.
so you're saying you want to add that they reference the
Mhm.
guidelines that we have?
Yes, I do.
Also, so do we have money in the budget to increase the hours for the construction official? Code officials to do this, or they, I don't know how busy
But
they are.
Roger's never part of this. It's always been Glenn to interrupt.
Well, in reality, your construction official who approves the plans.
Correct. But Glenn on zoning was always the one who was doing the material guidelines all these years. Roger
I don't know that. I don't know that. But even if so, your construction official is the one who sees it go in, nobody
Correct.
else.
That's correct.
And that's who I was told they worked at, when this was in fact, it was the construction. I don't know if it was Roger, whoever was. the
It was
construction
Glenn or Party.
official at that time.
It was actually, it started, didn't it start with,
No.
it didn't start with Red?
No,
Gardner? It never started with
So
Red?
I just want to make sure that, like, to George's point, we have and then also that we have extra money in the budget. And which, again, I'm thinking that we're throwing money at something that we can reinstate the, HPC, have them do this as volunteers, have them continue to report everything to the planning board as they've been doing for years, and we are covered in terms of making sure that things are done and we're not going crazy. Also, I would like to point out, and I don't think, I might have been at a time when, when you were not on, but the HPC.
All I was
did-
not on was you didn't appoint me.
Well,
Go
well,
ahead.
and maybe you don't remember that.
Okay.
The HPC did do a training with the planning board and with
Yep.
the State Historical Preservation Office to train the planning board, because we knew that you can't rely on one person.
In the current planning board,
And that
Aparna and I are the
is
only two that have the
Right,
certifications.
and that needs to be done again, but I'm just saying that was done. And I think they'd be happy to arrange that with Andrea or whoever to come again and do that. So if that's an issue that I'm just saying you're raising that Glenn's not on and that there needs to be, I'm just saying that they did do that training at one point, and I think that we need to.
It seems to be-
Mandate that be done every couple of years.
So these people up here, it seems to be, it's going to be a decision of three people. I think you and I are on polar opposites how we want to go with this. I'm promoting 130-21 and 130-31 until I understand what the other stuff cost me.
I
Us,
think that
that's-
we need to have the information about what it costs. I mean, look, I think we could sit here for the next 10 hours and talk about this. It's why it's been in flux for the past 4 or 5 years, and why no committee has been able to come to a consensus to make any significant changes, because everybody's so passionate about it, it's complicated, it's confusing.
You're right with that.
It's a very, very tough issue. I think we need to understand what it costs, and then, I mean, I think we need to dedicate a workshop to having this conversation in more detail to figure out what we're gonna do.
I agree with that 100%.
All right, that concludes our reports and discussions. Moving on to reports of administration, Mayor, I just have one quick one. Restaurant weekend is coming to Chesterfield. I am excited about this. It is the end of July 31st through August 2nd. It is just a way for the township to really appreciate, bring attention to the wonderful restaurants that we have in town, support our small businesses, focus, we have these really, really amazing restaurants and get the word out about them and really just have a weekend to celebrate them. There's going to be more social media about it over the next couple of weeks. We're going to do features on the different restaurants, contests the weekend of. Would encourage everybody to help get the word out, spread it to friends, family, in neighboring towns in Chesterfield. I hope that everybody will plan to go out to eat that weekend. Special shout out to Dominic and his firm. They're sponsoring some cool restaurant weekend beer that will be coming our way shortly. If there's any other businesses in town that want to help sponsor something, we are certainly open to it. Feel free to shoot me, call me, email me. We are certainly open to it and open to any ideas that anybody may have. It's Chesterfield's first restaurant weekend, loosely based off of, other restaurant weeks that, counties and towns have done, but open to any ideas, suggestions.
I just wanted to ask, because this is something I've been trying to investigate on my own, and I didn't get an answer on. When I saw this, I saw that you named 3 restaurants in town. We also have Osteria.
Yes.
Did anybody reach out?
Yes, I went there countless times. We called
They
countless
haven't
times.
been.
I know.
I went there once and there was the same package outside the door for the entire
I know they
weekend.
haven't been open.
They haven't been up for 2 weeks.
If anybody has an update, they are, okay.
I know they've been closed.
Well, that explains it.
Several times.
I know, I have too, and not gotten any
And
answers.
John has not.
That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, no, we would love to have
So
them. They
did
were,
they and then I'm trying to remember, and I have to say, I didn't go back and look. Did they reapply to ask them to update their?
they did. yes.
They
Yes,
applied for, we approved they paid for the liquor license. However, they were going to be shut down anyway by us if they didn't pay they still haven't paid their food license this year. So they have until tomorrow, and I haven't heard from them.
So they must-
It's a shame, though. Something.
Karen, if you get any form of notification that they are closed, can you just let us know?
I'll reach out to him again tomorrow.
Contact information. I reached out to people who know the owners, and they said they reached out to the owner.
I called John 3
And he
times,
hasn't called me back.
text twice, nothing, no
Yeah.
return, no.
So I guess it's disappointing.
That's not the name I have. I have a
Well, and
have
also
Pappas.
bothers me.
Procassini,
PAPAS is who I deal with.
John Procassini, he's done it.
Right. Because I think they just bought the whole thing. They bought the building and all.
Talking about restaurant week, I'm sorry I missed the tone with the cop, but everybody in town said it was a hit. So
Oh, happy to hear that.
it's-
I thought the teacher did a really wonderful job with that as well.
we can dress them up sometimes and send them out, huh? I thought it was a great public relations, and I think the public, a nice day. So sorry I missed it.
Okay, moving on to Township Committee.
I just wanted to ask, and I should have asked to put it on the agenda today, but if we could do it on, is we need to make a decision about that mower. We sort of kicked it down, and I looked, when I first looked at the agenda, I was gonna ask to have that added, and then I think it slipped my mind, but I do want to make sure that we get an answer on that.
I think the funding is being further investigated, and then we'll be able to.
Well, I think it's a good use of the grant. But that's a decision for her. But I definitely want to see more.
I wanted to check on the status of the dark sky ordinance. I know that we were working on it.
Yeah, I wonder if we can send up, now that you're the EC rep, if we could set up a meeting, maybe me, you and Dominic to talk through some of the details and next steps on that.
Status, hold on a second, status of what?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you there.
Dark sky ordinance.
The EC
Oh.
has for dark sky ordinance, that Dominic had drafted, I think, last year.
I just want to know on behalf of the EC what's the status of the ordinance? Because that's what they're now, I mean, is there any keen on working on that?
I think it required a lot more intensive labor and cost from our professionals. I think they had to go through various stages. So I think that we should get together and figure out next steps.
May I ask, RNG, isn't the current regulations anyway, LED with all the designs by planners now for light filtration or infiltration? Isn't that already part of the design standards?
I'm not sure if, I think they have to be, I think they have to have cutoffs and things like that. We always have it on, it's almost a standard line in our review letters that all lighting has to be dark sky compliant.
That's what I thought, because, yeah.
And I thought it was a state statute.
That's what I thought, because it's costing me a
It's almost
fortune
like
on my
the
private
EV
life.
It's almost like the EV statute.
Yeah.
I thought it was a dark sky statute.
So Richie, you may,
I can double check.
just
that.
please SEC, I think it's not a bad idea, but I think we already have some form of protections there, because I know most municipalities I'm working in, now I call it something different, but truly every bit of my illuminations are well critiqued and then looked at for not only proper lighting for safety, but proper lighting preventing neighboring, and it's based on what your neighbors are. So I'm just saying it's not a bad idea, but it may be already in there. And I don't know, and I would think that would be a function, if there was something done, that should be a function of the engineer, because he truly is, they're reviewing all the lighting plans and scopes, because I assume it's only for new lights, we're not looking to retrofit it. Yeah. So I could be wrong, but I think it's there already, because I know a lot of towns are enforcing it on me.
Well, I'd just like to make sure.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing, speaking of the Environmental Commission, is we did get a letter from them, and I'd like to ask that be attached to the agenda, and we formally recognize the letter, because they took the time to send it to us. And I think that when we have discussions about going forward about some of the issues related to maintenance and over village, I'd like to have that letter that they sent to us on record and attached to our agenda. Yes, the EC letter that we received in our packet.
But it was added to the agenda.
It's not on the agenda, but it was sent to all the committee
I
members.
said agenda, I added to the minutes that was received, we recognize it, and there with the minutes so people can reference it.
But I also feel, I constantly hear from residents about I guess, the unmanaged or whatever vegetation around the basins, and how it does not look that neat, because, we can't mow, of course, there has to be a buffer. But then if there is a major path we can take in terms of improving the appearance of the basins, because we just look at it and they're like, oh, I think, what is the public works doing? They're not doing the job right. And that's what I keep hearing from residents, but then you have to explain to them about the stormwater requirements and what are the ecological benefits of having that buffer. But,
I agree, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have their letter put into the agenda, the minutes, so that we can reference it.
We
because I
can,
think
or we
it's
can
something-
discuss the letter,
I think we need to have a
because
discussion.
I don't agree with it 100%.
Okay, I just want to have it there for reference,
Okay.
and I don't think that we're going to say by adding it, that we're adopting it, but I want to have it there for reference so we can refer, because I think that at some point soon, we're going to have a discussion as a committee about some of these issues. And I don't want to ignore the input of the Environmental Commission. But yes, to your point, Jeremy, I'm not asking that we say that we are endorsing it, but
The
just
NOMO
that we recognize it and we are going to consider their input along with a lot of other.
Right, I mean, the NOMO goes for so long. They want you not to mow grass, let the grasses get high and stuff like that. We have saplings, we have trees, we have 4-inch trees, 5-inch trees.
I'm not
That
disagreeing with you,
are
I'm just
becoming-
saying I don't want to ignore
they're
their
gonna be a
input.
maintenance nightmare around these basins.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I think if someone ignore their input, I think their
if
input
somehow
is
we can
one
have a
of
managed
them.
buffer approach instead of just following.
I think
I
we
agree.
need to make decisions about what we're gonna do. All I'm saying is that I don't want to ignore that they took time to write a letter, I don't want to ignore it, I want to acknowledge that we received it and it's here.
Then in the future, I'll put it on as a correspondence. I will not put it in the minutes because I'm not going to put the whole letter in the minutes. The minutes are for official action of the governing body.
That somehow to go back and.
Correspondence is kept for a couple of years.
Okay.
Joe, I guess for my edification, would you understand what, in terms of DEP and stormwater management and maintenance? And I think the answer is somewhere between. I don't think it gets mowed every day, but I think it gets mowed yearly at least to prevent, when vegetation is fine. Saplings are not, eventually they're gonna get in channels, they're gonna get into flow structures. What is there a recommendation? I agree, don't ignore the EC, but I also would like to know on an engineering level.
Yeah, the water maintenance, so anything that impedes the basin from functioning, right? So a lot of times before water puts into, I don't want to say danger, 'cause it's not physical danger, but anything that might degrade the structures that are there, or the slopes, or destabilize the slopes, things like that. All those are what the DEP requires us to maintain as far as stormwater compliance. To mow once or twice a year is totally fine. Again, if you don't mow it, there's just an appearance of it's not being maintained, but it's still being maintained. Anything close to any of the structures, obviously, we want all that clear. You have to be able to get in there and maintain the basin itself. You have to be able to get to all the structures and maintain those and inspect those. They have to be inspected regularly. The outfall has to be inspected regularly, which is not always easy to get to. So there's maintenance with respect to that. But the compliance is more or less to maintain functionality.
And it doesn't impact on quantity calculations if you have trees in there, does it?
It can, if it's in the, say, the 100-year storm protected volume of basin, yes.
Troy, do you need guidance from us as a committee on how to handle these areas?
So there's different elements. So we have the O&M manuals, we refer to O&M manuals, we refer to the DEP.
Troy, can you speak into I'm sorry. Thank you.
We refer to the DEP, what the recommendations are, the O&M manuals. They're not specific. You know, again, like Joe said, they're not being maintained. Like I said, there are saplings in those trees. You go in there periodically and take them out. I'm not opposed one way or the other. Well, once a year, we don't want once a year.
Are you unclear as to what you're doing now, though? Like, do you need us to come to a decision, considering what the EC said, considering the expertise that's up here, considering what we're hearing from other folks?
So, yeah, because I have conflicting stories one way or the other.
Okay.
Some people want us to mow, some people don't want us to mow. If I go in there and mow, you're gonna hear I mowed. If I don't go in there and mow, you're gonna hear we didn't. So yes, there would be a nice definitive answer of, Roy, we'd like you to go in there and mow around these October, you know, November, whatever.
I think it's better for inspections every year.
We have gone in there and there's the outfalls we have.
Check the ones on Saddleway, check the ones on Saddleway between the two ponds.
And I guess
Coming from the bridge. They're like daisy chained retention ponds in there. One pond flows to the other pond and there's outfalls. There's trees growing in the outfalls.
Yes.
Yeah, like in the core rock and the scour pad and everything else.
That's four bay. Those four bays are completely clogged. Those are issues that I've expressed time and time again that we need to take care of. We need to dredge, we need to take care of this. These are maintenance issues. These are issues that don't cannot be issues.
No, I understand that, but since the no mow, you had 4-inch trees along the edge.
Oh, yeah,
6-inch
yeah.
trees.
Along the edge.
Like you can't mow that edge anymore.
No.
It's all full of trees. Yeah.
But the main point is that they're clogged and we need to talk about money in order to
There's a large problem. Yeah,
do
this
the
is something we
project
talk
to
about
get
every
them
year.
corrected.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, Joel, is that going to become an issue when we come to our stormwater permit? They don't exactly come and my understanding is they don't come but we have to certify that all of this is done, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, we
Yeah.
certify all the maintenance,
Yes.
it's done appropriately. They're supposed to come once every 5 years. Once every stormwater permit cycle.
To actually inspect.
They come inspect all the books, they come inspect all the inspection reports. They do a field inspection, yeah.
So say these areas remain clogged. When do you have to report that? When is your reporting on that goes to the state?
So every May we submit a report of our compliance, and there's options when you complete those reports for areas of non-compliance, where you more or less self-identify areas where you could not comply. Let's just say, for example, your stormwater map. If it's not complete, then you're basically saying we are not compliant. If you didn't sweep streets this year, this particular year, you have to say we're not compliant. We, as a town, that could afford it. They did have money in the budget to do it. So that's going to be an area of non-compliance that they're going to have to identify. So it's self-reporting up until the point you have an inspection. Typically, after inspection, you'll get a notice of violation or something. And there's always something. A lot of times it's, little things, but you get it nonetheless most time.
And did you just say, or did I mishear you, that you do that in May?
May 1, it's due every year, May 1.
So
Or the previous.
I would like to see for our next meeting, your report from this May and what we.
Yeah, Karen has, that's what we're talking, Karen has
Yes,
a copy of what we
send it to
submitted.
us because I'd like to see what areas are we in compliance,
Yep.
what areas not in compliance, because I think we need to have a serious discussion about that as well. Because I'm sure if we year after year say we're not in compliance on this, so I think we need to discuss it now, and then we need to look at when next year, it needs to be put in the budget, it needs to be part of our budget discussion.
Yeah, that's just for clarity, we're not non-compliant
Okay,
with respect to maintaining our entire stormwater facilities, pipes, outfalls, basins, all those things. We're not non-compliant in those areas.
right, but are there certain areas within? I'm just trying to understand what, if we're saying these
I have to
areas.
double
are
check,
clogged.
I have to double check for
No, I'm
sure.
not expecting you to know
I do,
off the top of
yeah.
your head. I just would
I'll
like to
send it
know what do we need to do? I think we need to stay on top of that. We need to understand that as a committee and then what,
Yep.
so that when.
I'll send a copy to everybody of the annual report from it.
Anything else from the committee? George?
You were discussing about lighting ordinances. There is a model from ANJAC, New Jersey Department of Commissions. There is a model ordinance on here. We're very familiar with other municipalities with those types of ordinances. What do you refer to when you have your reviews? Or site plans for lighting?
I use the township's land use ordinance.
Does that have a lighting component to it?
It has one.
So if we wanted to update it.
Yeah, you can, I mean, it may be as simple as referring back to a dark sky compliant standard
Yeah,
that's out there and adding that into the ordinance, it may be that simple.
There's a couple things I just want to update you on. Our speed hump survey, the responses, there were 9 residences that were sent surveys. I've gotten 6 of the 9 back. They're coming in very slowly. Once I get all of them, or at the end of next week, if I haven't heard back, I'm going to assume everyone that wants to respond has. Then I'll bring you the information so you can make a determination on whether or not it would be appropriate to install the hump. Also, we would have to come up with a location, talk to you and Will Schaefer about the proper spot. And I just want to stress that my belief is both sides of the road have to agree, because there's going to be 2 different property owners involved. That's lining up. I think I found a spot where so far we have it, but we have several people that want us to have a speed hump, but don't want it in front of their house. We have other ones that says they want to have a speed hump, but they're very specific.
We have all the data and then we'll consider it.
So I'll bring that to you. Committee in Philly, the road repair, I don't know if you saw
It
it.
looked great. I was gonna bring it up. I meant to say thank you.
Yeah, police department did a great job. And again, PSE&G was really responsive. They were
I'll just
great getting out there.
Just get the white turkeys to shut up when you're doing it. I'll be really happy. They decided to live in my yard. So.
Yeah,
What
okay.
happened? Not
There's no
just
there,
you,
no
George.
there.
You have other people
There,
listening.
come on over.
All right, good night, George.
We got the blacktop, no turkeys.
George,
The last,
they did a great job, and I didn't even think of infrared as an option. The infrared company looks like they cut it out and repaired it. I personally think it was fantastic.
I don't even think they even cut it.
No, they just
heated
infrared
it
it.
up.
They just infrared it.
Superheated and re-smoothed it.
They're
So
great.
they were excellent. The last thing, the Amazon locker, that the saga is almost over. I think we're going to get it. The last response today was that they were going to put it in. We had to research whether or not the position of the locker would be okay in our breezeway so that there wasn't an obstruction to wheelchair or pedestrian traffic. We satisfied that thanks to our building department. And there was one fire safety recommendation.
Here or in Old York Village?
This,
Here, okay, it's back to here now, I'm sorry.
no, it's in
Old York
Old York,
Village.
the shops at Old
That's what I
York.
thought, okay.
It's gonna go in the breezeway there. There is one modification that has to be done to the wall for our fire subcode official, and then we should be good to go, but it looks like they're satisfied. So
And are they gonna pay for that work? Who's gonna pay?
the modification is simply to remove vinyl siding from that where it would back up to, just in the event some package happened to ignite
So it's
because of
not
fire. But that would be up to the property owner.
And I think they get a benefit. I think I'm having a lot of my property owners do it, and they're getting a benefit. They're getting a benefit. out of it.
Traffic.
Oh, I think they'll get a lot of them.
George, thank you for staying on top of that.
I think we're close, and that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, moving on to public comment part 2, same rules as public comment part 1. Can I get a motion in a second to open?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
First of all, I'm the vice president of Chesterfield Society. Thank you so much for the donations from the Black House. There is a little bit of a process that we need to go for insurance purposes to accept that. So if somebody can send me an email, so I have the contact information. So
Who do you want information from?
how are we acquiring that connection to the contact person so you can get some ownership documentation transferred over? You have to-
So they're in the care of a separate party from Active Acquisitions. Apparently they hired a firm to take them, preserve the artifacts. I did get an estimate on the size of the collection. They said it's about 5 or 6 anchor boxes.
Okay.
I didn't know if it was a shoebox or a
Anchor box is approximately the size of.
Yeah, where you put your records and store them in the closet, so. I just wanted to get the permission from the committee, which we got tonight, and I'll make the arrangements between Active, their vendor, and Carl Braun did reach out to me, so I'll work with you.
If you could reach out to me, because it has to go through the full board, not just Carl's.
Right,
not-
I saw changes.
I had a couple notes as you were speaking, so I'm just gonna, some of those real quick. I'd like to direct, to George for 2 seconds. We had a, email exchange a little over a week ago about historic preservation maps and old maps from 1970.
Right.
Could you address to the group so they could?
Do you have the email there? I
Um,
don't have it.
Lori, you're gonna have to do your 3 minutes and then we can take time. We have it out.
Okay, so I just wanted to, the reason I'm bringing this up is that, 130-2131, the existing, older ordinance that was the original preservation ordinance, actually was verified that the map that we were using for the historic, district, specifically for Crossroads, that boundary was connected to that ordinance, not adopted by ordinance for the HBC itself. When you move forward, you actually would like to have both ordinances act in, congruent with each other. The reason being is that your historic district is actually smaller than what is portrayed in that map. And having that outside boundary for compatibility purposes, construction and things like that, and along ways, gives you the extra buffer zone that you would like to protect your core, your actual historic preservation zone that would eventually be designated contributing versus non-contributing. One thing I want to clarify, Denise stated that there would be a situation with the preservation ordinance 130-21, that it would only go through the zoning official. That is actually not how it's worded. Currently, you have the opportunity to add that it would be reviewed by any historic official that you would like, whether it's a historic society, a third-party preservation person, whoever you would like to add into your ordinance, you can add that for protection purposes. Preservation ordinance, in my understanding, is meant to be for compatibility purposes to what pre-exists. So anything that is actually historic will go further. Then quickly, I just want to say that the idea of a historic district is not done by the zoning official whatsoever. It goes based on the criteria that you establish in your HPE. So whatever your criteria is for qualifying for contributing, whether it's a landmark or a contributing structure, you work from the inside out. So wherever your cluster of contributing properties are, you find your cluster and work your way out until it gets to be non-contributing. And that's where your boundary ends up lying, and that is through your plan and not through your zoning official.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now, 16 Chesterfield across the road. Number one, I'm kind of disappointed that we have to didn't recognize the historical society for having the Dark parade, which is a great day in our area.
We were going to, Susie.
Okay.
We did. It fell off the radar with
I
everything else on our
I
agenda.
understand.
We will do it at the next meeting. I'm sorry, we talked about doing a proclamation at our last
That's
meeting.
proclamation, but yes, you did discuss it at the last meeting,
Yeah,
yeah.
we were gonna do it at this meeting.
So in regards to $5,500 for fortifying the minutes, video, and et cetera, I just want to put this out there, because I'm scrolling around there like endlessly. I don't know how you're gonna handle the old planning board and historical HBC stuff and environmental conditions, because there is no video for that. Going forward, if that video, if the 5,500 pays for video, it will be absolutely speculative, because I've been asking for that for at least 4 years. I don't see why that should be a problem. I think that brings Chesterfield Township into the forefront of the 2026 year. And also on Know the Dark Skies, I would suggest that we run the code through like ChatGPT and get your ordinance to see what the difference is. Because some of that stuff is already handled, and perhaps all you have to do is extrapolate the township code for the lighting. And then lastly, for the historical HBC thing, I kind of think that if we kind of use the village preservation for now, use that, fix that right away, because I think it's gonna take us a little bit longer to get the HBC back on the road to recovery, because it's just a lot of steps. You gotta get the planner in there, gotta do a survey, and designate, so there's just a lot of steps there that it's gonna take time, because everything has to be approved and there's a cost to it. So, budget is always a concern.
Thank you, Susie. And we were going to do the proclamation, and just with our lengthy agenda, it fell off the radar. We will do that at the next meeting.
Steve Hazen, 447 Main Street. I wish I knew I could have done that sign, because when I moved in, there was no stop sign in front of my house. So it's called an easement. So Marjorie Road, instead of being 3 feet wide on each side, they didn't want that, and we listened to, went out to rebid. Now, law of unintended consequences, signs have to go up to let people know, and they don't like the signs either. So my question is, and why I'm up here and spent the last 3 years working with the HPC, is we get a letter about speed bumps. Well, we have to notify the residents. 10 years ago, we were never notified. We weren't, Denise, don't give me that.
No, no, I'm not arguing.
I did not get any notification. A year and a half after the resolution was passed, I did, but not beforehand. Unless I didn't matter, which is apparently the case. The HPC, this is my time, not yours. right? You have a nice habit of interrupting. I guess you would not have when you were young. So. I lost my train of thought, thank you. I was in pharmacy school, we did chemistry experiments, we had a lab for 3 hours. And if your experiment wasn't going right, you could maybe fix it. You didn't fix it by going into the middle of the experiment. You started at the beginning, you went over. All the stuff talked about tonight should have been presented to the town council in October of 2016 and been incorporated into the ordinance. You can't go back and piecemeal. How are you going to tell somebody now, oh, for 10 years, you've had to do this? And guess what? You're no longer in the historic district. How are you going to notify a resident of that? 20, Chesterfield, Georgetown Road, new lot. I got this from the builder. They wanted vinyl. HPC wanted cement board. They settled on brick. You're going to tell him now that he spent $20,000 and he didn't have to? How are you going to notify him that? And you talk about cost. The HPC, if you mandate materials, you're putting a burden on 5% of the population of the township that Parker Road doesn't have, Battlefield doesn't have, without telling us. That's why I'm here. And my point is, the laws are very complex. When I first started coming to meetings, the township liaison was sitting up here with the HPC people. But guess what? They weren't supposed to be, because they're not part of the HPC. So in the last couple of months, Denise has been sitting in back here with the peons. So if they don't even know that simple rule, how are you going to come in the middle and say, oh, we're doing this, oh, but we have to change this? You need to just repeal it, and if you want it, start over the proper way. There have been so many things violated, I can't even have 3 minutes to say it.
Is there anybody else in the room who wishes to speak? Anybody online? Seeing none, can I get a motion in a second to close public comment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do have like the agenda of an executive session tonight. Do I need to read the resolution, or do we just go into it?
Just need a motion to authorize a resolution. We will note the purposes are attorney-client privilege, contract negotiations, and collective bargaining agreement, and there most likely will be formal action taken after the conclusion.
Can I get a motion in a second to go into executive session?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
This conference will now be recorded.